I'll say good morning. Welcome to ChamberLIVE. Today's topic is Sack Yourself, how to set up a business which doesn't rely on you. Presented for us by Celia Gaze from the Wellbeing Farm. The views expressed in this seminar don't necessarily represent the views of the East Lancs Chamber of Commerce, but all facts are believed to be correct at the time of recording, which is the 8th of July 2020. Let's meet Celia then. Celia Gaze, entrepreneur, leader, author of the wonderfully titled Why Put a Bow Tie on a Llama? Just have to read that from the title. And also national award winner. She describes herself in her email signature as founder, managing director, and head stablemate for the llamas. I love that. Her story is one of innovation, creativity, and courage. And I'm sure you're going to love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Celia Gaze.
Thank you, everyone. So, my name's Celia Gaze. So obviously founder, thank you for the introduction. And this is about how to set up a business which doesn't rely on you. So I hope you're all in the right webinar and not expecting anything else. Just a little bit of an introduction. So this is, for those of you who've not been to the Wellbeing Farm, we're based between Blackburn and Darwin and Bolton, so in the West Pennine Moors, and I'm in the village of Edgeworth, and I'm a Chamber of Commerce member, obviously. You might recognise a couple of the visitors, well, certainly Chris Squire there with a llama. But the point is, the llama on the bow tie is what we are well known for. And just this week, I've also launched the Northwest Centre for Business and Team Wellbeing, which has been my pivot project for lockdown, because obviously, being a wedding and events venue, we are currently closed to large bookings at the moment. So we're having to look at pivoting and changing our direction. Known for fun, unique and magical weddings, events, now corporate events and corporate activities as well now. We try and do everything with a difference, for the bow tie wearing llamas to, we also have bow tie wearing alpacas, black cat wearing donkeys, lots and lots of space, very quirky interior. We just steer away from sandwiches for any lunch. And yes, I wrote a book down there which was published in January 2020. Just giving you a little background as to why I'm sort of talking to you today. And this was my journey, basically. That back in the Wellbeing Farm's been set up for about 7 years, and in August 18, I experienced what some of you experience of setting up a business, and questioning why on earth had I set up something which required me to work longer hours and have more stress and worry than something I'd left. So for those of you who don't know my story, I worked in the NHS for 14 years, and I was a turnaround director, given a project to turn around, say, 42 billion. It was too much, got work-related stress, and I resigned. And the next thing, I went to transform the rundown farm that I had into this wedding venue, which is now known as the Wellbeing Farm. And I was at a situation of having given up a job where I was under massive amount of stress. The next thing, I'm facing more stress, more worry, more issues. Constantly felt I couldn't have a day off. Handling all my own emails, would go on holiday and I'd be looking at my phone, I'd be in a restaurant, I'd be looking at my phone. And I was in a situation of near bankruptcy in December 15 and wondered what on earth I was sort of going to do. And then fast forward to June 2019, where I have a whole team in place. I literally took a whole month off my job. I said, that's it, I'm off to Bali. I took a month off with no phone calls, no emails, and I just left my staff to run the business without me. And I survived and was really proud to have a whole month off my business, no phone calls, no emails. And I'm trying to explain to you today how I went from this crazy, overworked business owner who thought, my goodness, to somebody who took a month off. And I have never worked in my business since June 2019. I solely work on my business and I work from home. And although I'm running a busy venue, I literally only go to the business 1 day a week, and everything else is done around. Apart from that, I don't work Fridays. full stop, all the weekends. And I just want to start sharing with you how I did this and how I went into that journey of transitioning from stressed out worker and a business owner to somebody who can now work solely on their business. So hope that's what you're expecting to hear.
Celia, can I just interrupt you for a minute? Sorry, we're having your audio's a bit kind of up and down. I'm not sure if that's because you're so loud that your laptop's limiting you, or whether it's because you're moving around with such animation. But
right.
I'm not sure what the answer to that might be. Are you on a webcam or is it your laptop audio?
Just laptop audio.
Yeah. No, maybe try keeping still.
Sorry, very enthusiastic, passionate word.
Yeah,
right.
Good.
Okay.
That's good.
So the first poll really is, can we just have a bit of a poll? I think, Simon, are you ready to do these polls? Because I'm not the great at technical. Kind of, as a business owner, do you spend most of the majority of your time working in your business or on your business? Okay. Right, well, I'm glad that some of you are going to find this useful. Otherwise, on your business, I'm wondering, carry on working and this is in the background. Right, okay, brilliant. Right, so the book, I don't know how many of you heard of the book called Traction by Gino Wickman. He's an American author, and we won't hold that against him, but he has published a series of books. And the ones that I'm going to talk about today are around traction, which is the one I've got 2 stars, but there is also a simple version called What the Heck is EOS, which is a simplified version of traction. And amazingly, all 4 books cover the same thing. So don't feel that from here you've got to go away and read 4 books. But the point is, if you were to go and read any book, I'd recommend Traction. And if you couldn't face that and you thought that was too much, start with What the Heck is EOS and move on. And I really should have shares for Traction, because I've kind of gone, sort of done this so much for them. And I'm not certainly don't get shares for it. So the point is, kind of how many of you ever go to a webinar or go to read a book and you never truly read it? You kind of go, or you never truly implement it, rather. You go to a webinar and you read a book and you kind of go, right, yeah, well, that was great. But do you really ever implement? And this is kind of some of the things that I'm going to explore today. But the traction is the fundamental principle of traction is that it involves something called an entrepreneur's operating system, which is EOS, and it's a model that you can run any business operationally. And although I have applied it to an events business, and we run around 70 weddings, and that's 70 weddings plus events on top of that, plus midweek corporate events on top. So we are a busy venue. I have about 30 staff. You could run this anyhow, into any, you can apply the principles to any business. And the point is, it teaches you it's designed to liberate the business owner from the day-to-day fundamentally crap that you get immersed in. You get immersed and you're stuck in the weeds, sort of doing the do, and you end up just working in the business instead of on the business. And this is designed to just completely release you from all that worry, all that constant work in the business, and just designed to be able to lift you up to work in and where you're going and heading with the business, rather than kind of the day-to-day drudgery that is involved in running a business. And so the whole point is there's 6 components to this whole process, basically. It's kind of a prescribed process, but I must admit, I didn't sort of take the whole sort of rigidity of the traction model and kind of go and implement every element of it. I basically followed it in principle, but obviously adjusted it and changed it to suit my business, because some of them was a little bit sort of technical and a bit over the top. But the point is, it's very clear, and some of these are very much, they've been replicated by quite a lot of people, but it starts with having a clear vision in which you involve your team to create everyone rowing in the same direction. You then have the people, and looking at the people in the right seats, and have you got the right team around you. The data and a scorecard, the concept of a scorecard becomes the pulse of your business. And it's like the fact that if you were stuck on a desert island, no email, nothing, and you needed to know how your business would be run, 1 email a week is all you need as a business owner. And I'll tell you how I've applied that afterwards. All these areas, by the way, I'm going to cover in the presentation, and I'm going to show you examples of how we did all this. issues. You just get great at solving problems through processes. You become an organisation that its team meetings exist just to say, have we got any issues and how are we going to address them? And you end up as a system and an organisation full of implementing processes and systems which basically drive your business. So the processes are really important, documenting the processes to ensure the consistency. I have 360 processes documented in my business now, and I'll show you how on earth I went around that. And before some of you think, well, you've got 35 staff, I did this with 2 staff who were responsible for the traction process. There was myself and a 20-year-old who was a student at the time. And I think it's easier if you don't have staff to be doing this, to be honest, because you can start implementing it and doing it as you go on rather than needing a lot of staff to do this, I'll be quite honest. And I think if I'd have started, if I was going to start my business over again, I would have started on day one with this system of how to do it completely on my own. And then the point of the traction process is it literally just gives you focus, discipline and accountability for growing, for the growth of your business. And that's it's a systemized process that is what you use to deliver and have that business freedom. So the point is, so the book was, I went to a webinar. This was, it wasn't even about the point. They mentioned the book and I thought, oh, I'll just write that down and I'm going to get back and get that book. And it was the first time that I've ever read a book and I thought, my goodness, this is really resonating with me. And I got back and I bought copies for my team. I made them read what the heck is EOS, just on the sort of this is going to come and wait for this. But I myself read the traction and I had somebody called Harry, who's below, and I gave the task of implementing traction to Harry. Now, Harry was age, I think he was 20 at the time. He was a student who spent his summer, but the point is, ideally, you need somebody to help you do this who has done most of the areas of your business, helped you. If you haven't got anyone doing that, you do it on your own and then ultimately get somebody who knows your business to start doing this. And so, as you can say, Harry was quite versatile and we do have animals. We run 3 bars, we have catering, we have, you know, we do all the catering in the house, we have chefs, we have kitchen, everything. So we did need somebody who had a good idea of what was actually going on. So first of all, the next poll is, when you read a book or attend an event, do you truly implement what you consume? So some options there, kind of 1, I consume but return to the office and just continue what you were doing before. 2 is I implement some bits of it, then things happen and you run out of time and you go back to normal. Number 3, you buy a book and implement it till you've completed it. And yes, I'm a natural at implementation. What would you all say that you are? Yeah, so this is very typical of what happens, and that I'll be honest, that was me. But the first time I thought, if I don't do this, I will never change as my business. I'm always going to stay the same. I'm going to continue my business as this kind of stressed out kind of business owner, and things have to change. So I decided for once and for all to take something and let's just give it a go. I wasn't prepared to throw lots of resources on it, so hence I used a student who was part-time over the summer holidays to do this. This was in 2018, the summer of 2018 that I decided to do this, July 2018. Okay, I'll just go back to try and move my page again. Right, here we go. So the first one is you've got to get very clear on your vision. Now, a lot of business pages, and this is I mean, you can go on the website for Traction and pull off these, you know, plans. They can pull off these templates that you can use. But I just adapted my own, to be honest. But the point is, and don't look at the figures because this is quite old, this document now, it's January 19, but the point is, you need to have a very clear 3-year picture of where you are going with your business, and you need a business plan that is just done on 2 pages. You don't want a big business plan that sort of sits on the shelf and gathers dust. All of this is to be done with your team. As the business owner, you have to have some sort of clarity where you're going to head in 10 years, but then you need a 1-year plan, and then that is broken down to typical, well, sorry, 10 years down to 3 years to 1 to 1 year, then 90 days. And it is all about 90-day working in here. And you just pull off. So on the 2 pages, you literally have your 1-year plan, you have your focus, you have your values of your organization, your marketing plan, the rocks are issues. The rocks are like projects that you're going to do to get you there. And the issues are all the problems that you have to sort out before you can do this. Now, this is not done instantaneously. This is done over a period of I'd say a couple of months to do it properly. If that, it depends how much results. I'd say a couple of months if it's part-time. You could have this done with your team in 2 days. It's one of these, how much focus that you put on this. But the point is, it's communicating to the team or yourself or your partner or whoever, having clarity in where you are heading, and then it's basically just being really clear of how, ways you think that you're going to get to get there. So that is really the starting point. And some of the boxes, like the marketing, the focus, the values, certainly the rocks and the issues, you won't know at this point. I think as a business owner, you just need to be clear, where do you want to be in 10 years? Then homing that down as where you want to be in 3 years, and then where you really want to be in 1 year. That's, at this point, that's what you've got to get clear. This document is kind of your ultimate plan that you end up with. Now, it is important to look at the culture of your organisation. And again, you could do this with your current staff. And if you haven't got any staff, just do it with yourself. But I did it with, and this was what the book says. It said, list the 3 people in your organisation who work in your team, that if you could clone them, it would lead to some sort of market domination, basically. And what qualities do those 3 people have that makes them be in your top 3 people in your organization? Get their values. What is it about them that makes you totally, think, well, actually, if that person's handling it, I can leave them alone. I know they're doing a good job. Now, for me, it was, I based mine on Harry, who I had in my business, but obviously I had more than Harry, but Harry was somebody who would just think, if I give it to Harry, I know everything's going to be right. If Harry worked a wedding, I know the wedding would be run well, that kind of thing. You need somebody who kind of just empathize what you're about, and as almost, yourself, if you haven't got anyone else, copy yourself. What is it about you that you value in other people? And basically you communicate that to the rest of the team, and you hire, and it should ultimately be that you hire the staff which meet those values. This whole process enables fundamental culture shifts and buy-in from your own team, which is what you need to implement this. So it is about not only changing the systems and the process, it's about changing your whole culture. My culture shifted to a complete performance managed culture, and ended up, we won in January the UK events team of the year for the wedding business, the national winners, the whole of the UK. And there's no way that I would have won that if I hadn't got the buy-in, the culture, and the performance that I've got from my team. So basically, when you've got that, you get your team to come out and do your own culture. And what I'd done is I'd found these, they had basically listed from all of the team 50, there was about 25 values. When I circulated it across to everyone, I asked the whole team, who do you think is the top 3 people in this organization, and what values do those people have? And we had this massive long list, and then from that we drilled down to find these 5 values, which we put into something called the 5 Ps, where they were a professional, they were a perfectionist, proactive, positive, passionate. And you've got to have things that kind of make the team just remember. And these are now formed as posters throughout the organisation. And then sort of summed up, we do award-winning work, teamwork, we're all about the teamwork. And we've had a few of these, so it's don't be an ass. It was stronger than that. It's in the book. It's a lot stronger. Toned it down a bit because I think it's a customer. I think it was don't be an asshole. And somebody said it was a bit rude when she saw the poster. So the point is, it's about having fundamental to this is about having an important team that drive all of this. Now, this is where it all starts. So as a business owner, you have, and certainly I used to have, and I can't imagine I'm any different than any normal business owner, fundamental things that frustrate you. it annoys you, things you do all the time, and you've got to get them out of your head. I did this exercise. This was my original list of 360 things. I literally took it away and thought, of every single thing that we do in this business, you have to get it out of your head into a list. And I literally brainstormed, and this ended up with a huge list of tasks we do. And I got 360 things. And this goes from literally how you cash up at night to who checks the drink levels, who's responsible for cleaning out the llamas, who cuts the butters, who does magazine advertising, who orders drinks, who orders food, who serves the food, who tidies the garage, you know, all sorts of else. You've got to get every single thing out of your head, because while it's in your head, all it's doing is clogging up your head and worrying you. And, you know, and so the point is, first of all, just that release of getting every single bit and treat it down to the minutiae of levels. You know, who's responsible for responding to emails, who's responsible for kind of you know, sort of checking, I don't know, who's responsible for ordering the petrol in the lawnmower when it runs out, who's responsible for kind of checking the cleaning of the toilets all the time. You know, we're running a customer service organisation, so you've got to get every single thing out. Some of you may only have 20 things. I have 360 things. So I'm showing you that this process will work with the stream of businesses as well, with anything. Once you've done that, you need to allocate someone responsible for the tasks. Now, the point is, you've got to take the list of tasks and give every single person a name amongst your staff. Now, you might look at that and go, my goodness, you've got a massive team. To be honest, at the beginning, I set this business up and I did absolutely everything. I didn't have anyone when I set this Wellbeing Farm up. So the point is, you need to allocate a name to every single thing you do, and that is just a responsibility. So if anything goes wrong, you know, as the business owner, exactly who is responsible for doing that task and responsible for that task. So once you've got your whole list of tasks, you turn it into what is called an accountability chart. That was like an A3 diagram. You can see on here, that was kind of my original accountability chart. But the point is, if there is a problem in your organisation, you know exactly the name of the person who's causing that problem. So that's the fundamental idea. And then when you have done that, you start as a team getting everyone to document what goes on in your business. And the point about this is, the person responsible for the task has now got to document how they do the task. And then I'm, as the business owner, sign the documented process off. Now, these documented processes could be in a video, it could be in a Word document, it could be in, you know, there are different systems that allow you to do this. There's some fancy online systems, but I just used Word. I put them all on a kind of Google Drive. And we have a staff website where I put some of these on. But the point is, and this is just down to the simplicity of levels. I used to sometimes turn up at a wedding, and after the ceremony, when they're getting the tables ready, and it just used to frustrate the hell out of me that one time I turned up and the butters were cut in rectangles. The next time I'd turn up and somebody just plonked a blob of butter on the table. The next thing I'd come and I was like, this is the most stupid little point, but it niggles me. It used to annoy me. Why the hell can't people just cut the butters and serve them in the same way? So the point is, this is like a tiny little frustrating thing, but I used to go away and get really annoyed and fed up at the start that nobody was doing the flipping butters in the way as my venue that I wanted them to be done right. And you might think, flipping out, what a control freak. But it doesn't matter, because it's all down to the standards that you set as the business owner for your business. You have the vision, you know how you want it done. And the point is, you want to set those standards of what you expect. So when your team and everyone has signed off these protocols, that's you saying, right, as far as you're concerned, now you never have to worry about the flipping butters. You know, that's the point. And this is a very minor point, but you then can extrapolate that to any scenario. You know, how are they going to, you know, sort of do the banking at the end? How are they going to serve the drinks? I have this process documented entire wedding, from the morning of the wedding and what happens to the during the ceremony, to the post the ceremony, to the cutting of the cake, to the nice dance, to the leaving the premises. You know, this has been documented to the minutiae of detail for 360 processes. But the point is, I no longer have to worry. If I hadn't had that process, there is absolutely no way that we would have won the UK Events Team of the Year. We would also have been in a business that basically is standardized and processed. So this is the point. You end up with a process and everything documented and not having to worry. I said that you only need one scoreboard. Each week I get them all to say, you know, how many inquiries have we come, how many new bookings, how many viewings, how many provisional bookings, what's the value of the wedding sold, have we had any cancellations, how much bar income, how much. You can adapt this concept to anything in your organization. What are the things that you need to know as a business owner? That's all you need to look at each week. Honestly, that is the entire thing that you need to worry about, you know. And some days you'll be, you know, these will be in 1,000, some days, and you'll just question, going, hang on. You can start seeing trends, and you can just start saying, well, hang on, why have we just got only so many sales that week? You can really start over a while. I mean, this has now been going for 3 years with me now. I've got some brilliant trends on my business about where we're going and how come this January we've not had the same as last January, for example, and things like that. And then when you've got this, it becomes a complete way of, this is how we do things around here. We have a very structured meeting. We meet as a traction meeting. They call it level 10 meetings. I've never kind of called it that. I've just called it like a traction meeting. The point is, it's quite structured. You have, you know, everyone has to expect that this scorecard is going to be viewed. We have an issue solving track, which is in Trello, and basically these are all the problems that we're experiencing. And then a rock sheet is just the project progress on projects. And you literally go, we start the meeting with going, how's everybody doing? Is there, you know, kind of, you know, get the morale up a bit. And then 5 minutes on the scorecard. So everybody expects that the business owner is going to check that scorecard. 5 minutes on the project is literally, are you on or off? It's a red or green. I think I've got a picture. And it's literally, are you on or off? This is very much, you know, you're doing a project. You can't have this green, amber, red and business. You've either done the work or you haven't done the work. I'm not having any of this kind of, well, I'm getting that. No, you've either finished it or you haven't finished. We map out customer headlines. How are they happy? Any issues? And then the most of the meeting is spent on issues. What else do we have to put in the process? Where are we going? What's going on? And through this, you know, I've had every scenario that's happened. I've had generator failures in the middle of a wedding, you know, sort of everyone plunged into darkness. I've had every type of problem that's gone on. You know, there is not a problem that I've not experienced in business that has not happened in my venue. And since I've done this, every single type of project has been documented and a process of how to deal in the future. I have folders now, emergency folders. So if anything happens, flick to the process, done, follow it. And it enables us recruitment, to be able to run the business, and everything has a, you know, this is all systematized, but it makes your business very, very valuable should you come to sell it, because it's not only a wedding venue or not only a business, but it is a business with a documented system of procedures backed behind your business, which makes it incredibly valuable if anybody wants to buy that. And this gives you an idea of how much traction has been implemented in my business. I'm a big one for acronyms. And so there is a whole system and processes and a traction project for whole staff support. There's one for finance, there's one for operations, there's one for customer service and support that we give. There's one for all the premises. Remember, I'm dealing with quite big premises I have to deal with. I'm dealing with animals and mixed animals and premises and all the rest of it. And there's one for marketing as well. And all of these areas have projects and systems all to do with procedures behind them. And there's somebody accountable for each project that is doing that. And I personally am accountable for some of these on my own. I'm accountable as a business owner for the finance one, and I do the marketing one. And then I have an operations person who's responsible for the operations one. I have just somebody who helps me with like a company secretary type thing, who does science, the staff support. I do the premises one as well, sorry, I forgot. And then the wedding coordinators do the other one, but it gives you an idea of the size of the business. And the impact of all of this is that I no longer work operationally in the business. It's completely liberated me. I can choose, pick and choose when and how often I want to work. Obviously, I've mentioned we won the UK winners of the Wedding Events Team of the Year. I do feel I have entrepreneurial freedom as well, and I don't have to work. I don't worry anywhere, anything like I used to. I know if something goes wrong in my business, I absolutely know who's responsible because I have a named person who is responsible. And if something goes wrong and there isn't a person responsible, at the next protractor meeting, I will make somebody responsible. So it will never happen again, basically. The whole business is accustomed to 90-day working. That's just the way we do things. We have all these scenarios documented, and any problems that could go wrong, we have that all documented. So it saves time, hassle, worry. My business, as I mentioned, the business is financially more viable. It has grown. I went from 15 weddings. I went from 2, when I was near bankruptcy in December 15, I had 2 weddings booked. I went from 15. When I was implemented traction, I went from 15 to 43 weddings, and I'm on for 100 weddings next year. So it's to give you an idea of how much this business has grown since I've done this traction system and since I've systematized and procedurized my business. I'm much more profitable, only visit the farm once a week. I never have ever worked at a wedding since I did this. And I have bookings and bookings until 2023 for the business since doing this. So it does work. There is a lot of work. I've published a book and what have you. It does work. I'm not saying that it's not without effort, but what I'm saying is if you put the effort in to get this properly, the results are just amazing of what you could achieve in your business. And you can end up having, being able to do what I did and enjoy that freedom, take time off, enjoy the sort of benefits of having your own business or company. And on the back, I've just managed through lockdown now to open a second business, which is as I mentioned in the beginning. So you do have a lot of things that can be positives out of this. And so my final poll to you is, what will you do as a result of this session? So there's 2 questions there for you. So there we go. We've got some people. Well, we've got nearly everyone taking action. Someone's not going to kind of bother. They might be the person who already works on their business and doesn't need to do it. But there you go. Hopefully, it's people have seen that the results that can happen if you properly put the systems and processes into a business. And I think now it's time for, I think the last slide was, when I get the technology going, is for any questions.
And is there a final slide to put up, Celia, or is that?
Yeah, there should be, but
you can't get it to move.
Every time we do this poll, it seems to be frozen for some reason.
Has anyone, while we wait for Celia to battle with the technology?
There we are.
Well done. Has anyone?
There you go.
Has anyone got any questions? Because it's a relatively small group, feel free to just unmute your microphone and put a question directly to Celia.
I've got a quick question, Celia. If you get a call that people have called in sick, obviously notwithstanding current situation, are you ever tempted to just think, do you know what, it's miles easier if I just go and cover for this? Right,
okay, so you're not without, and I'll give you a scenario as to what happened and why this is so important. And this is a true life scenario. It probably is going to get recorded. I hope this doesn't damage my business. So I was on a Saturday morning on another kind of yoga thing, and my phone kept buzzing, and I'm like, what on earth is going on? So I had to sneak out, answer the phone, and it was the operations manager who goes to me, Celia, we have a wedding today, and the normal head chef is on holiday. Okay, so we'd call in an agency head chef, as you do. And what had happened is, he said the agency chef has walked in and won't do the wedding and has walked out again. And I went, right, okay, well, where's the other chef? Well, the other chef says he's not doing it and he's not going to work. And I went, well, who's left to cook the food for a wedding? I get the call at 12:30 and the wedding is at 3:30, and there is slow roasted pork on the menu to be served for 170 people. I'm like, well, who is doing the food? Well, I haven't got a chef. Okay, right. I had to get quickly to the venue. I had to call my partner, who is a butcher, on the way saying, Stephen, forget going to Darwin. You need to get back here quick. My mum, can you come in quickly and bring your apron because I'm desperate, right? This was the scenario. And I got into the kitchen, and because thankfully the chef had done some preparation the day before, but the point was, because he had a chef Bible with every recipe documented, with a photograph of every single food and how it should look and how we were supposed to deliver, I personally cooked all the food for 100, I think it was about 120 people, but I remember there was 12 vegans, 2 vegetarians, and I cooked the food with my mum and my partner, right? And nobody knew any different for that wedding. Now, if I hadn't done that, there is absolutely no way, if I didn't have a chef Bible with the documented processes and the photographs, I could have ever have done that. And that's my point, that if you have these processes documented and sorted, you will be able, or should be able, to cope with different scenarios. And nothing will ever, I mean, I've never had that again. Thank goodness I put in a plan that if that ever happens, it won't happen again now, because I have a kind of documented plan for that never to happen. But it kind of shows you the value of systemisation, everything documented, because anyone in theory should be able to pick up the process and run with it.
It appeals to me, Celia, because I love a process, but the bit that doesn't appeal to me is all the what looks like bloody hard work at the beginning. I can see the payoff at the end, but I'm not sure I'd have the patience to put what looks like months of energy into literally creating all these systems and processes. How do you force yourself through that stage?
Well, I think the point is you allocate someone to who knows the business to do it, and you divvy out. And actually, what you need to do is that those processes for us to get to a system of documented 360 processes, it took us to do the bulk of them, probably about 200 and so. It took us just 6 weeks. And that's, so every time somebody does the process, like for example, I give someone who knows how to cut the flipping butters, cut the butters for me and write up the process. It takes 5 minutes to photograph them as they go along, type them up and put them into process. And I always say to them, write everything up that a 15, no disrespect to 50-year-olds, but a 15-year-old would be able to understand, basically. And everything then hangs from the wall. So the butter process on the wall, every time the cleaning up processes, the opening processes, everything is hanging there in charts all over the place. So everything is visible and there. And it is the only way. A lot of people go, God, what hassle, you know, I wouldn't be able to. Well, you are never going to completely be able to get away from your business if you don't do this process. You can get away, but things, when you're on holiday, things won't get done. No, I had somebody who, I have every manner of type of emails coming into my inbox, and somebody was able to deal with it all for me. You know, because for the 2 months, for the 6 weeks before I went on holiday, every time I got a certain type of email, I'd go, if this type of email comes in, do that. If this type comes in, delete the following emails if they come in, because I'm not interested. You know what I mean? And you have to put the effort in. But could you imagine how valuable my business is now? Because I'm not going to sell it, but I would not only be selling a wedding venue, but I've got a wedding venue with a manual of how to go and run an multi-award winning wedding venue with every single process documented. That, for me, is adding value to your business. A value, if your business is totally reliable on one person and how to do things, your business isn't reliable, because it's fundamental. What would happen if that owner, anything happened to them, got run over a bus or whatever?
Just one more. Yeah, I do. One more from me then. Does it change your workforce? Because I imagine there'll be certain people within certain types of people that absolutely love that process and systemisation, and some that just will absolutely hate it and won't last. So have you seen the mix of your personalities change as you've systemised?
I mean, the one that I really struggled with is chefs. There's no chef that wants to document his recipes because he feels then it's a huge threat to a chef. If you take his recipes and document them, they absolutely hate it. And I am not saying to the chef, you're not going to be replaced or anything. And what I'm saying to the chef is, if the scenario happens that happened to me, at least I have somebody who knows, you know, as a chef, you're trapped. You can't go on holiday until you, or if you do go on holiday and you get somebody in, they may not serve the food with in the right standards or the right way as an agency, and it might not look the same as we go out. And weddings are like a kind of pack of cards, you know. You only need one wedding to go wrong, and it sends out all this implications for all the other weddings that are booked. And I'm so confident in everything. We have a secret wedding website where all the brides and grooms and everybody, secret Facebook group, chat to each other. How was your wedding? What sort of food did you get? Look at the pictures that were shared. If I wasn't confident that all our weddings will run to a systemized, standardized way, there's no way I would have a secret Facebook group with all the couples who chat to each other and compare notes. No way. And I think it's that kind of, I think some people really like the fact that it is procedure-based. Some people really like the way that they know what they're doing, they know, and they have that comfort of everything's covered. It does take a change of culture. But I can tell you now, before I did this, I was probably the most unorganized, unstructured person ever. And for me, it's just such a relief to know that when I'm not, I used to be there. I mean, and to set this up, I literally stood with a clipboard for probably about 25 weddings and documented what we did. You know, I was the one person as the owner who actually probably documented the majority of these things because I wanted it done to my standards. I was the person who went round with a camera and photographed how I wanted the tables to be laid. I was the one who said, I want the drink served that way with the orange on the left. And do you know what I mean? And that's me, because I wanted to make sure that, you know, this is why organizations like McDonald's and all these other places are successful, because everything is standardized. You don't go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac looking like a different Big Mac. Do you know what I mean? That's the most successful businesses have processes and systems standardized to ensure consistency. So every time a wedding is taken place, you absolutely know that the wedding is going to be run with all the different things that they would expect. And that's where things don't go wrong. If people don't follow the processes, you can be guaranteed that something will go wrong. And that's why it's so important.
I think Lucy had a question further up that we've missed a bit. She just wanted you to go into a little bit more detail about the 90-day working.
Yeah, so basically we run everything on 90 days, and it's basically just like taking that massive list. I mean, you can't implement overnight 360 procedures, but you start with your big ones. Say you pick your top 5. Which top 5 procedures, if documented, would start taking worry away from you as a business owner? So for me, it was, if I could get the whole of the wedding process documented, that would cause me that I would have the confidence that if I wasn't there, every wedding would be run properly. The simple thing, like the buses used to drive me up the wall, so I wanted that documented. You know, how we serve coffee. You know, a lot of what I do is run by young people. So, you know, you have some people, I don't recruit for experience, I recruit for personality. So there's a lot of training to be involved. Most of the people who come to work for my venue have never set foot in hospitality before. You've got a lot of training, and so this is why the systems on how to lay a table, how to do all of this. So document the first lot, and then you get into a process. You have your big master list of things, of all the things you do, and every 90 days you pick a fresh lot of stuff. And you just keep feeding and feeding and feeding through systems and processes to document. And they're called rocks. Rocks are your big projects, and then issues are problems that you may, and that's where, if you go back to the original document I shared, the 2-page plan, this is where you start building up what you have to do every 90 days in your business. And I can tell you anything, by the time you get through a few 90 days, you will basically have done the whole thing. Because yeah, waiting a year is just too long to wait. We have 90-day projects for everything. It's like somebody's written a book about it.
Might be your next book. You never know. Celia.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, your passion and enthusiasm for not only your business but also the system behind your business comes across really well. So you've captivated our audience this morning. Thank you very much. I don't think there are any more questions. So can I just have a round of applause from the wall, please?
Oh, thank you very much.
I'll circulate a follow-up email to everyone. Oh, Stephen's holding up the book. He's got it there. Traction.
Oh, brilliant. Have you implemented it, Stephen? Have you implemented it?
Yeah, so. Yeah, he's working on it.
I'm one of those people who started it and it sort of drifted off.
Yeah. And I mean, I've just said, as a result of doing this thing, I've just said to my team, because and then I'll be honest with you, when I went to Bali, I had a situation where I had an operations manager and it was all brilliant. I was thinking, this is entrepreneurial freedom, living the dream. This is amazing. I got back, and while I was away, the business did grow. I got sales and sales and sales, and I was getting these things. And although I didn't, when I got back, I had a full 4-month report. But then when I got back, I found that the operations manager had been so hung up on making sales that he was selling for the sake of just making a sale. And every sale had been massively discounted. And that's why I have the volume of the amount of the value of the sale now put on there. And I think you do have to be careful that if you do completely let go as a business owner, you've got to be very, very careful who you are leaving in charge, and why that scorecard is absolutely got to nail what you need to know as a business owner. Because that scorecard, that for me originally never had value of sales, it just had amount of sales, just what I mean, and things like this. But it is one of these things that you think, oh God, that's a flipping pain to implement, but actually you do get the dividends. So it's one of these that is worth persevering. And I'm going back now and revisiting Traction, because I do think we slipped a little bit, and I think I need to go back and just revisit some of the processes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll certainly have a reread of it. I'll certainly have another run through of it.
Yeah, sometimes what the heck is the EOS is a bit of an easier read than the Traction book. If you can think, I can't get my head around this at all. Start with the other. I think it looks like a book, but it's actually probably about 50 pages. It's in large print as well. So there you go.
Brilliant. Well, I hope you get some traction, Stephen. Thank you, Celia. Do check out chamberlive.co.uk. I hope to see some of you on next week's webinar, which is our Sales Club event with the Sales Geek. And enjoy the rest of Wednesday. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.